1963. I were 5, and me, me mam and me big sister Marion, we were on a train to Leeds when me Teddy went missing. Mr. Dustbin, we called him, because me dad had found him underneath the chip papers and fag ends in a bin on Blackpool Front. You can't give the kid that, said me mam. I can and I will, said me dad. You see, he'd lost his job and it was the only thing he could afford. It's filthy, said me mam. Well, wash it then, me dad said. And she did. And even though she had to stuff him with pairs of her own nylons, and he had bald patches and he only had one eye, oh, it were love at first sight. That bear had the sort of face that said to you, I love you and it's your big sister what smells of pee, not you. Oh, I loved that bear. And I'm sure that, you know, if bears could talk, he'd have said he loved me too. Marion, on the other hand, she didn't like me. She said I wet the bed, and I didn't. She said I only got away with things because I was a crybaby. And when Mr. Dustbin went missing, she said it were my fault. She said it was a stupid little shit and I must have left him on train, and I was a brat that didn't deserve anything nice or out. I said she was just jealous because she didn't have a bear and my mum and dad loved me best. Well, then we started fighting. And my mum were like, oh, stop fighting, don't pull hair, hey, put that hammer down, and so on and so forth. My dad, well, he were like just listening to radio, to the news. There'd been a robbery, the Great Train Robbery they called it. This gang of robbers had robbed £2.5 million off the train. And my dad, well, he could talk about naught else. You see, before he'd been made redundant, he'd been a ticket collector at Leeds. And he was going on about, oh, how awful it was and how the train driver, he got bashed up and how it was awful it'll be for all the poor sods that worked on the railway. And that we should count our blessings and stop hating each other. That night, I remembered putting Mr. Dustbin into my mum's bag to go to Leeds the next day. And then, that's when I had the revelation. I had been the victim of a robbery. Our Marion was my own great train robber. She denied it, of course. Well, said I couldn't prove it, which of course I couldn't, but I knew that she'd done it. There were no other explanation. I refused to speak to her after that, you know, as in a conversation. But I called her names. Witch, cow, Frankenstein. I called her Goofy when she fell off her bike and knocked her 2 front teeth out. And I called her the Elephant Woman when she joined Weight Watchers. You know, the sort of things that sisters say to each other. I turned out to be the little sister from hell. I spat in her makeup and I put chewing gum in her hair and I did smelly farts in her face while she was asleep. And I accidentally, on purpose, spilt stuff all over her new clothes. Mr. Dustbin had gone missing and I was not about to let her forget that. When she went to uni, Mum and Dad, they went to the station to wave her off. But me, I threw a party and I luxuriated in her absence. Then I met Jeff and I got married and I had kids and I had a happy life. I forgot all about Mr. Dustbin. And for the most part, I forgot about Marion too. Years later, when Mum and Dad died, we exchanged letters with each other, but, you know, just legal things, nothing more. And then, 2 months months ago, I got a call from a solicitor. Our Marion had died and I were her sole heir. You're joking, I said. And he said back all snootily, it is not a joking matter. Oh, I thought, sorry, pardon me for breathing. Apparently, our Marion, she'd never married, she never had any kids, and she'd left everything to me, including the fact that I would have to clear her house out, which I didn't want to, but there'd be no other bugger to do it. So we went and I did it rum by rum, stuck it all in boxes and took it down to charity shop. Don't you want to keep anything, said Jeff. Whew, no, I don't. He said, what, for sentimental value? No, nothing. Anyway, I left her bedroom till the last. I mean, it was a bit creepy, you know, going into room that she died in. And that's where I found them. In a box, under the bed. There were all her teenage diaries. So, I did keep summat. When I started reading, I expected to find it funny. I expected to have a laugh. But no, none of it. It were just page after page of how lonely she were, how she thought everyone hated her, how she wished that she were thin and pretty, how Mum and Dad loved me best, and yeah, you've guessed it, how she took Mr. Dustbin and threw him out at train window. Oh, it were the confession I'd waited nearly 60 years to hear. But did it make me feel good? No, just made me feel sad. She went on to say that she didn't know how to put things right between us and that she felt imprisoned by guilt. Them train robbers, they got 30 years, but most of them were out in 10. Our Marion, she got a life sentence just for the theft of a teddy. I regret it. I regret it all now. But, well, it's too late.